All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends from Work Let's Chat podcast. We're going to be talking about Mandalorian season 3, episode 2, and some things that happened this week in pop culture. Stick around.
Everybody, come on, let's get down. Get down.
All right. Never get tired of that. Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
I'm just bebopping away. I'm always dancing during that music. Freebase kills it, man. Love him.
He does. It's impossible not to dance to it, which is
I know. It's fun. You got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah. All right. So good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking very just proper this morning.
I know I am not. So I tried. I'm terrible about actually like putting makeup on and things unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, I didn't put me on this morning. This is just literally woke up like this, you know.
You don't have to brag, okay? It's not needed.
It's cheating as a guy. It's fine.
It is. I have this debate with my fiance all the time about how much crap women have to go through to like just look presentable. It's annoying. Anyways.
I know. Can you believe the amount of crap us guys have to go through? Because we got to hear about it.
No, the recording didn't drop. That was
I can hear your eyes rolling back going, no, Brian, no.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. Well, so this week we're talking about Mandalorian season 3, episode 2. Now, Brian, I know you have a lot of thoughts, so I'm willing to just let you run with it and start diving in.
I got so many thoughts. What did you think about the episode? Because you saw it last night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't get to watch it on Wednesday. I had to watch it Thursday. I had some stuff going on. So watched it last night. And actually, we watched the episode of Bad Batch right before it, which was kind of fun because it's starting to, like, a lot of dots in Bad Batch are starting to kind of make sense on some things, which is interesting. So watched that before it and then watched the Mandalorian new episode. First of all, I have some questions on these like really gross looking creatures.
Okay, pause for a second because guys, we're doing spoilers.
Yes. Always spoilers.
Fair warn. Okay, go for it.
Yes. So the weird looking creatures, like the troll people, gargoyle things, and then like the robot spider.
What's the time machine? Morlocks from the time machine.
Oh, is that what they are?
Like, I know, but it was a time machine. The whole thing is that 10 million years into the future, we've split into two species. One is on the surface, the Eloi, and then you get the Morlocks underground, and they've evolved pale skin. They're bigger, they're stronger, and they've got the bigger eyes. So those look like the Morlocks to me. I just thought that was really interesting similarity.
That is eerily similar.
A little bit. The time's compressed. It wasn't 10 million years, but yes.
Yeah. So I mean, Bo-Katan made a comment when she was there. She's like, they used to live in the wastelands behind our civilization, and now they've moved into the destructive city at this point, or what's left of the city. And Taylor and I, my friends and I, were talking about it. And so actually after the episode, we ended up going back on Disney Plus, which is really nice. They have Clone Wars split up into like story arcs, whether it's a place or a person, etc. So we actually went back and watched the Mandalorian story arcs from Clone Wars, which helped fill in some gaps on, the history of the Dark Watch and why they were on the moon versus, anyways, it was really interesting. So if you guys haven't done that and you're looking for some more insight on like what the hell happened to Mandor, absolutely a really great, easy watch. They're cartoons, but they're not like your kids' cartoons. I need to feel like I have to say that. It's
cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender was a cartoon. Sit down and watch it. Good.
Yeah, exactly. They're very good. You watched Rebels and Clone Wars, right?
Yes. And I'm actually working through Bad Batch right now. And Bad Batch is a little bit more cartoony, but it's really good.
It is. Yeah, it's really good. And I like how it's filling in a lot of gaps and opening a lot of doors from things that we didn't really know before.
There's some really nice connections going on. I'm kind of digging that. By the way, remind me later because you got a top 5 we're doing.
I do.
Okay, so we're gonna do that later. But when you do that, remind me Avatar: Last Airbender because I got something I found this week. It's really kind of cool.
Okay,
Continuing.
great. Okay, no, that's awesome.
The underground guys. I interrupted you. The underground guys.
No. I just think they were creepy as hell. Like I was sitting there like in a ball on our couch with like a blanket like right under my eyes. Like I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this.
You straight up burrito, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely, I did. Absolutely. Okay. And Taylor's yelling at me because of how ridiculous I look and sound. But and then the spider thing, I did not like that at all. I did not like that. It was very well done, so much to the point that like I was creeped out, which low bar, but really weird.
It was well done. I've got so many questions because it could literally be a one-off. There doesn't have to be a massive thing about who this character is, but I have no idea who that is or why he was drawing Mando's blood.
I don't know.
It was like there looked like a pile of armor, so it looks like he's done this to a number of other.
Right?
Mandalorian. Was I seeing that? Was that actually there?
Yes, I saw that too. No, I saw the armor. It was totally there.
So this thing, whatever it is, with a borderline human eyeball.
And like a brain-looking thing behind.
Yeah, similar to General Grievous, in that it's. Yeah, that's where my brain went. I was trying to figure out is like Grievous died.
Yeah, right? He was. I mean, I think so. For sure, he's dead.
Is this Grievous's brother? Like, what?
Is it Grievous's surviving eyeball?
That would be a little weird. But the fact that every step of the way, the fact that you've got the big monstrosity, then the individual body, and then the head walks away. I'm just sitting there going, no, I have problems with this.
I didn't like that. It was. I mean, it was when I say I don't like it, it's because it creeped me out. Not that it was very well done. It was a very interesting part of the story. I feel like I need to preface that because like I liked the episode, and the fact that it got to me like that is like good storytelling.
It's good storytelling. It's weird and rare, I think, at this point to have something that odd and that weird pop up that we have not seen or heard a thing about. By the way, guys,
true. That's a really good
correct me in the comments if you guys already know what this is, if you've heard about this, if this is from some previous mention in the books or comics. I want to know because I'm actually really curious. So put a comment down there.
Yeah, I agree with you. So anybody out there who is far more educated than we are, please tell us.
Please,
I'm intrigued.
I'm very much intrigued. Very curious about what the blood draw was about. Because it was definitely a snare set up to lure in Mandalorians.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm super curious what's going on there. The fact that, by the way, the entire planet is not poisonous and toxic, as they had been led to believe, makes me wonder how an entire race of people has straight up abandoned a planet as toxic and nobody knows.
Yeah.
There's a whole story there.
There is.
Want to know.
And I feel like that's going to be probably the extended arc of this season is figuring out A, who's feeding this misinformation, B, what's actually going on that planet. Because clearly there's something going on. We just don't know what it is. Yeah. And the fact that some rogue person showed up with the piece of like the green glass with the Mandalorian writing on it, like there's something happening. We just don't know what it is.
If people have been to the surface, people know. So what's going on with that? Love that. I loved Grogu with his game face on.
Oh, I know.
Bopping out there going, you ain't going to stop me. And just like blasting one of those Morlocks out of the way.
Yeah.
Just ears down, just going, no.
Oh, yeah. He was so cute. Oh, my God. And like, you can tell he's getting older, like, which I think you pointed this out last time. But like, you can clearly tell he's more seasoned. He's worked on his link with the Force. He's learned a lot. I don't know. It's really cool to watch that. Yeah.
It was really cool to watch that. It was, I was loving. We're gonna have to circle back to Tatooine at one point, by the way, because that's just fun. The Bunta's the Bunta's Week Classic, which was the pod race that Anakin competed in Star Wars Episode 1, was the Bunta's Eve Classic. So you're back on Tatooine, seeing wider celebration of Bunta, and nice throwback, nice callback.
Yeah, little hidden Easter egg.
Yeah, a little bit of Easter egg, and the fact that you got a tourist in there getting just absolutely screwed over by the mechanic. I love it.
Oh my God, she is such a great character.
She
That woman, her career, I'm telling you, it is going places. Like, she's fabulous.
She strikes me as one of those wonderful character actors that they brought in for like an episode, and they're like,
and then they just kept.
We kind of love her.
Yeah, she's so funny,
She's
and you
amazing.
can just tell she plays that character as like, she's gonna screw over anybody who walks in because she's looking out for herself, and it's not personal. I just gotta pay my bills, and she does it in such a loving way. Like, she even sells Mando like the janky droid, and you're like, you literally just saw this thing fall apart, and yet you're gonna try to sell it to Mando. Like,
well, and you know the droid, right?
Yeah.
You know the droid from episode 4.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Taylor pointed that out to me. I did not know he had to point it out to me, but yes, that connection was made.
It's and it's interesting because you actually get into some of the extended storyline, and the extended storyline, R2 actually convinced R8 to blow his motivator so that R2 could, because he had a mission.
Mm-hmm.
So R8 actually sacrificed himself. When the Owens were coming up to, when the Lars, Owen Lars was coming up to buy them, he actually sacrificed himself so that R2 would get picked up because he had a mission to do. And so there's an entire extended storyline going on with R8. I like it. I like that he's in the
just
story.
Just with the droids.
Yeah, bring it on. And I think
that just goes to speak to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and how they've created and decided to write these stories that it's not so one-dimensional. Like, even the droids, who technically is like a secondary co-star at this point, is now like, it has their own storyline tying back to the original trilogies and movies, which is really cool.
Yeah, digging it. I love, by the way, our mechanic. I love how personal she is with all of the droids. It's just her whole personality. I love the way she is with Grogu. And the flip that Homeboy does. It's like,
right?
We're doing force flips now. Okay.
It's like, okay.
We're doing that. Yeah.
When a flying alligator comes at your face, he's going to force flip into the spaceship.
I love it.
Okay. I was here for it.
Yep. So he goes and back to the cave. He goes and does just blast the Morlock out of the way. Goes up to the spaceship, to the starfighter, the N1, and then flips in, closes the cockpit, and just looks back at R8 and points to the screen. Goes, there. Take me.
He's like, all right.
I thought it was freaking adorable. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about Bo-Katan.
Yes, something's happening with her.
I love Katie Sackhoff.
Oh God, same.
I gave her a piece of my heart when I saw her because I remember it when they first unveiled Starbuck in bloody hell. Of course my brain's going to shut off now. But when they first unveiled her as Starbuck, a female Starbuck, and you see her, and there was about 30 seconds where I'm sitting there going, are we sure? That's all it took. The attitude, the nose in the air, the hard jaw, no, she'll take anybody down. I love it. Katie Sackhoff has been absolutely the perfect casting for Bo-Katan.
Well, and it's cool that she voiced Bo-Katan in Clone Wars, which
is so perfect, because she is the perfect actress for on screen. So it's amazing, and the fact that she. Say strut is not the right word. Stroll is not the right word. What is for the way she walks around in that armor? It's an ownership. It's like a commanding, it's a purposeful mosey. I don't know. It's absolutely amazing.
I like strut though. I feel like strut fits.
Strut seems to work, but that feels a little arrogant. But there's a strut in that armor where you go, no, that's actually hers.
Oh yeah, and, she earned that.
She earned that. Now, so loving her. What do you think's going on with her? Where do you think she's going?
So, okay, we know that the Darksaber is going to have some sort of tie-in here. I don't know when or how, but she uses the Darksaber to save him. So, is it hers now? Technically?
I have a whole question there. So let's, by the way, I haven't heard anybody talking about this yet, but let's be very clear about this part. He is still wrestling and fighting the blade. She's moving it like it's a lightsaber.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Now, never mind the fact that she's had experience with it. She's used it. But why is he having to fight it and she moves with it? Is the blade fighting him because it's not his? Or is the blade fighting him because he's got to own it and prove that he deserves it? And she's already done that.
I think it's the latter, also with the fact he's fighting his own identity.
Ooh, we're getting deep today. Okay, we're doing
Here
that.
we are. So I think he's really struggling with the fact of like, is he a true Mandalorian because he broke the creed and blah, 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 or like now he's not. And so I think he's still trying to figure out who he is and where he fits, because the whole purpose of him going to Mandor was to go down to the baths, which we got to talk about that big scary beast that was in there.
We're definitely doing that. We're getting to there. Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
But I think he's also questioning the creed itself. I think he's questioning how necessary the actual creed is.
Right? Like, she takes off her helmet and moves it like it's a plastic sword. Like, it's nothing. And then he's like, you saw how physically exhausted he was fighting the three. I can't remember their name. But like, it's just, there's something going on. And I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very, very curious where that's going, because she also gives it back. So as he's suiting up at the end, as he's putting his blaster back in the holster, he grabs the blade and clicks it back to his belt. So she took it, used it like it was hers, and then gave it back, even though she was saving his life. So there's a whole level of honor happening there, which I'm digging. But that brings us to the next major, and I'm loving her playing tour guide, by the way, reading from the plaque. Like the whole thing. The level of smartass that woman just carries with her.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's cocky. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. She's cocky, and she has been that way since day one as Starbuck. I love it.
I don't know. See, I don't. Doesn't read to me as cocky.
No.
To me, it reads as ownership and confidence.
Okay.
Because I think to me, cocky comes across as kind of to me, cocky has more of a negative connotation to it. And I think
interesting. Okay.
For me, it's more of the confidence of like, she knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She feels like she's, not getting what she deserves.
Right.
And there's like a chip on her shoulder about it. But I wouldn't go as far to say cocky.
Interesting. Okay. So the cocky, okay. See, I play with cocky with people in photo shoots, because cocky is I got this. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but cocky with gravitas.
Okay.
But I like it's authoritative.
Yeah.
She moves with authority. That was what I was looking for. She moves with authority with the armor on. So there we go. By the way, guys, my people with a thesaurus, look up some fun words. If you got a better word for what I'm trying to describe, throw it in the comments. I want to know. I'm just curious. Maybe I can learn some new words today. I like new words. Bring it on.
Yeah, new words are fun.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but then they because Din Djarin keeps going.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't just there to explore. He was there to actually bathe in the waters, the living waters in the mines beneath Mandalore.
Yeah.
So he goes down and finds it, and finds a critter.
Critter is a soft word.
Critter is a very soft word.
Thing looked freaking terrifying. But why? Did you just pulled him down and left? Like, I'm a little confused as to actually what happened.
I was a little confused about that as well, because it grabbed him in like 3 feet of water. And I was really curious if he was like, do you bathe in the waters in your full armor, or do you bathe in the waters, like, do you have to strip down and actually bathe? Like, it was just ew.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to be walking around in soggy armor all day long. I'm just saying.
Right? I mean, she just went in head first and just like everything.
She went in head first, and apparently, because they mentioned it earlier in the episode, I'm loving the way that they did, by the way, things early in the episode that came into call later on.
Yep.
So
Grogu's of the helmets.
Yeah, Grogu's jump early on, he used that again later. Din Djarin struggling with the dark saber, she brought it out and didn't struggle with it. He pressurizes his helmet. Now we know why she breathes underwater. Like, there's an entire level of, okay, so this entire episode was some really nice homework done. It was really well done.
Yeah. again, Dave Filoni and
Golf clap. Catherine.
I mean, they've just done a really good job, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Jon Favreau, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, they've really thought about it, and I think tangent here. Like, I think this show particularly during the pandemic was a new refuge for people who wanted something to watch that wasn't reruns of the same 12 shows that they'd seen time and time again. So I think they've done a really good job of keeping that in mind, and then B, continuing to like shepherd people into the fandom, as it were, even though they may not know all the ins and outs. Because like you ask somebody who's a diehard Star Wars fan, they could have told you, oh, well, they can pressurize their helmets, duh. And it's like, okay, great, sure. Okay. But they've gone out of their way to, which, that's a whole nother. Identity. He's struggling, I think, with who he is and where he fits and what that means for him.
And by the way, that soup that she gives him, any true Mandalorian was raised on this. I'm curious. So, okay, but the beastie underwater, like there's so much that was in this episode that's amazing. There's a lot that's going to come back to play later on. So the beastie that's in the water, do you know what it was?
What she was reading off the plaque, I'm assuming.
The mythosaur.
The mythosaur. There we go.
The mythosaur, the skull logo that is the banner is the flag of Mandalore.
Okay.
That was a mythosaur. Mythosaurs are supposed to be gone. So saying that the reason why they chose the mythosaur is because in the same way, like in Avatar, he tamed Taruk. Yeah. And he was the writer of Taruk, therefore everybody follows him. Was it Mandalore? I don't have notes in front of me. It was Mandalore tamed the mythosaur back in antiquity, and that is why that skull is their flag and their emblem. And that's why wild. That is wild. So here's my question. Which of them is going to tame the mythosaur? Because that is going to give them the throne. He currently has the dark saber.
Yes, but he doesn't necessarily want it.
He doesn't necessarily want it. And he wants to give it back. Yeah. She wants the darksaber and she wants the throne. Which one of them is going to wind up taming the mythosaur? Because he stumbled into having the darksaber. Is he going to stumble into? I want to know the predictions for the future. What do you got for that one?
Ooh. I don't know.
Or is Grogu going to tame the mythosaur?
That would be a nice fun plot twist.
Use the force.
I mean, you can use the force to like speak to other species in a way. So like, I could see it.
All right. So which one do you like better? Which one? Because one of them's going to be taming the mythosaur. There's just no question in my brain.
I really like Bo-Katan. I really like her. I would really like to see her have a stronger role going forward. Yeah. So to me, that sounds really fun. Like, I think that would kind of sort of bring it full circle from Clone Wars in a way. So that would be if I could pick anything, that's what I would pick, I think.
I like that. Yeah. She's gone from the headstrong, war-minded, leader who wanted the power to now somebody she has been through war. She doesn't necessarily want it, but she's willing to do it. Yeah. So she's learned and she's good at war, but I would. Okay, so here's the other. So if Din Djarin tames the mythosaur and he's got the darksaber, there's no question that all the Mandalorians are going to rally behind him. So true. Maybe, is that part of her journey where she went from desiring power?
And has to watch somebody else and be okay with it.
And not only has to watch somebody else and has to be okay with it, but it has to admit that this isn't for me. This isn't my path. Ooh. So I like both for her.
I do. Yeah.
I don't want to see it necessarily handed off to Mando because he stumbled into it, because we've seen that story so many times. Done that.
Yeah, season 2, check. Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. By the way, so if you guys haven't seen my film review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, they still haven't figured out what to do with the Wasp, because she's more intelligent, she's better educated, she's more motivated, she's more focused, she's a better fighter, and she still plays second fiddle to Scott Lang. Even though we love Scott Lang, he's amazing. Why is she playing second fiddle? So
I'm holding my tongue. This is me holding my tongue.
You don't have to. It's okay. This is what we're here for. Bring it on. What do you got?
I know we're still talking about Mandalorian, but I still have a whole host of Bechdel test related type qualms with how some of the females have been portrayed. Like we've made these steps and then it's like, okay, sit back down. They're there. And it bothers me. It bothers me. And the Wasp is one of them. And we've articulated that very, very well.
There were multiple named characters that spoke to each other, and that was about where that ended. But the agency was still on the part of the men, and there's a point where, cool, why? Explain. Yeah. You're now to the point where you have to explain to me why this person is doing the things, whereas this person is better prepared for it.
Yeah.
So, okay, yes, I agree.
Yeah. And for those of you who listening / watching, the Bechdel test is it's not an actual like test you write on paper or anything. It's a thing that is used to test the agency of female characters. And there's a couple of rules and it has to hit at least 2. Ultimately, the goal is to hit 3. So you have to have more than one female character with names that speak to each other than about a man.
Yep.
Those are the rules.
And that could literally be one woman walking up and going, I like your shoes. Unfortunately, that passes the Bechdel test.
Unfortunately, it does. Which is garbage that's our bar.
But and y'all would be shocked. As low as that bar is, most movies don't pass it. Including most Marvel movies. As much as I like Marvel, most Marvel movies don't pass it.
Correct. And it's absolutely, it's gut-wrenching to me because as such a fan of the Marvel universe and, Star Wars. I mean, it's gut-wrenching because, we talk about diversity and equality and giving female characters agency. There's just so much of it that tends to fall flat. And anyways, all that to be said, I appreciate that, people like Jon Favreau and Dallas Bryce Howard and Dave Filoni and, all of the directing team behind The Mandalorian, it seems like they're trying to make more strides in that department, which I truly appreciate. And having females in at the head of the room, directing, producing has a lot to do with that. Yeah. So I do appreciate the strides that are being attempted to be made, but I think at the end of the day, we can do better. So
there's still a long way to go. There really
long way to go.
Yeah. So I don't know which journey from going back to Bo-Katan. I don't know which journey for her I like better. Is because it depends. I don't know.
Both are impactful.
I think both would be a good story, and I guess it depends on whether they're going to have Din Djarin and Grogu diverge. If they're going to have them diverge, then her taming the beast and winning the crown
makes sense.
Is perfect. If they're going to stay in the same line where their stories continue, then I can understand them going with her actually having to back off. She spent her entire life trying to get the crown. And now for the first time having to back off and go, it was never mine.
Oof.
I got a weird mix in there. So, okay.
Yeah. Both would be great opportunities for storytelling in the universe, but they're definitely different.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited. So we'll see. I mean, I've heard from some people who had seen screeners because of the press junket and whatnot. Okay. So they've seen, I think, through episode 4, maybe? I don't know. Ooh. But apparently it gets good. I think Rick had said that too. He knew some people that were like, story goes up, which is exciting.
And the story's already going up. Like they did the first episode doing what they do, which is establishing the fact that there's been several years past. They've been establishing, reintroducing cast of characters, reintroducing status, reintroducing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
This episode, they're already deep into story, and I am here for it.
Yeah. It's amazing the exposition that was laid in seasons 1 and 2 to where now, like, it's no longer, we've got to explain all of these thousands upon thousands of years of history and context. Now we can just jump right in.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of that, because some of the exposition was laid out in Boba Fett, I like that our mechanic was talking about, are you here to take down Boba Fett? Are the There's an entire
no. He was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that was funny.
That I'm curious what's behind that. That's amazing. Is there going to be a second season of Boba Fett? Do we know?
I have not heard. It has not been greenlit that I've seen.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Because I love Finnick. I think she's just fabulous and I want more of her, but I don't know if we're gonna get it.
I like her going from like top assassin to henchman.
Yeah, I don't like the henchman part, but I like her calling the shots.
I like her calling the shots. I see that being temporary there. I see that as soon as he gets to a place of I'm good, I see her wandering off.
She's like, oh, totally. She's gonna walk off into the sunset again.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got for Mando. What else you got for Mando? Anything else you want to throw in there?
I'm just excited to see where they take this. I wouldn't be upset if the other. So, like, if you remember back in season 2, Bo-Katan had a couple of like posse members. I'm gonna call them. Wouldn't be upset if they come back because I thought they were fun to watch in terms of action sequences on screen because they were, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were both WWE fighters, which is always really fun. And like those people know how to put on a show when it comes to like any sort of action. So that I really enjoyed having them on screen. And I heard that they blatantly like in the press junket, people would be like, oh, so like, do we get to see you in any more episodes? And they were like, no. And then they were in like 4 more episodes and like just blatantly were like able to hold the, I signed
which is what they're all being told to do, which is just straight up lie.
Yeah, exactly. But like, do you want really though, at the end of the day, do you want them to lie to you or like, do you want to have it spoiled? Like, come on now. Like, they're doing their job as far as I'm concerned because if they lie to you, the story what?
Yeah. I like things to look forward to.
Yeah.
But I don't want it spoiled.
Exactly. So like, I don't know. It's I can't imagine like being asked. And one of these days I will be asked because I'll be in something that'll be asked. Anyways, it's one of those things where I think as an actor or someone who's a part of a project, like you want to talk about it so bad, but like you don't want to ruin the excitement that comes with seeing something on screen. Like I will never forget seeing Endgame in theaters and hearing Anthony Mackie go on your left. And it was like,
it's one of those like when everything feels done and gone and like, all right, we're about to do the last stand. And then you hear on your left, Cap.
I was like, I have chills thinking about it. Like,
just seriously, right there.
Yes.
Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where like you don't want it spoiled. Like, had that moment been spoiled, I'd have been so upset. Like Spider-Man for me, that was spoiled. Like, meh. Like it was good. I enjoyed it, but like I knew it was coming because it was. You knew it was coming.
And I've gotten really good about not watching because I used to watch all the trailers that came out for some of these movies that I wanted to see. I've gotten really good about no, I already know I'm going to watch. So when like a trailer comes out, I'll watch the trailer and go cool, and that's it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like the trailer that I saw for Ant-Man and the Wasp gave everything away. All of the interesting moments, them flying on the back of a manta ray, that like just all of these things. It's all in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the movie going, this would have been a cool moment if you guys hadn't already shown it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's been a lot of that.
Have you seen the menu?
No, again, score me.
You're not okay. So here's what I'm understanding. Menu is one of the ones that's next on my list to watch. Okay. The menu, from what I'm understanding, because I didn't watch it, because the whole thing looks like it's going to be they go in for the menu, and lo and behold, the final course is you. Ha ha ha. Is the way the trailers look, and they are so solid in exactly that trope and exactly that stereotype that I was like, I don't need to watch it. That sounds horrible. I don't want to watch that. Everything I've heard from everybody says that's literally exactly the wrong direction to go. So for once they showed trailers that were misdirecting, but I think they went the wrong way because the reason I didn't watch it is because the trailer was leading me to believe a thing.
Interesting.
So there's a weird line in there, like have a trailer that shows me enough that I'm interested, I'm thirsty. Yeah. But don't feed me too much and don't feed me the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like if we're sitting down for a steak dinner, don't hand me a cup of yogurt first. Like I'm going to get the wrong idea as to what we're doing.
Yeah.
but also don't feed me half the freaking steak in the trailer.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance.
That's a
that I
really
feel
weird
like
analogy.
needs to
That's the
be-
best I got right now.
It worked though.
It did
Did
it?
work. It did work. You know
I'm
what
out of
trailer I
coffee,
felt
so-
recently did really well was Top Gun Maverick. I feel like that trailer was the perfect amount of what you needed to know going into that movie.
Yes.
Didn't give anything away.
Yep.
Perfect amount.
Perfect.
Like, just do that.
And yeah, the entire like second half of the movie, I'm like, I have no idea where this movie's going. This is really
And that's the
interesting.
best.
Yeah,
That is the
I like
best.
that. I'm on board with it. Okay, so that's enough for Mando. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you got next? You're in charge here. What do you get to next?
All right, we're going to go into the top 5 pop culture things of the week.
Love
All right, so this
Love
actually
top
kind of
five.
tangents into what we were just talking about. So, speaking of things either misdirecting, not living up to hype, etc. So there is a new show that is now out on Amazon Prime called Daisy Jones and the Six. Have you heard of this?
I've not.
Okay, so it's based on a book by the author Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this show, I read the book, and I, going into this book, it was like one of the Goodreads, I think 2019 book of the year. Like, there's all this hype around it. People love it. I didn't get the hype, and I was really disappointed when I read the book.
Okay.
And so when they announced that this show was coming out, I was like, okay. Like, I didn't like, the book was fine, but like, it just didn't live up to all this hype and expectation that everyone I know in the book world was like chatting about, my coworkers, friends, blah, blah, blah. So the new show came out. It's produced by Reese Witherspoon and her company Hello Sunshine. Reese Witherspoon, if you guys don't know, Hello Sunshine is her company. She founded a few years ago. She sold it for millions upon millions of dollars because the woman is a business genius. Anyways, she's taken books written predominantly by female authors and turned them into very successful movies, TV shows. So like Think Where the Crawdads Sing, Last Thing I've Told You is coming out.
I did see Where the Crawdads Sing. That was good.
Yes, so that was her production company. Again, one of the many things that she's worked on. So Daisy Jones and the Six came out on Amazon Prime. The first few episodes came out on Friday. I think it was the first 3, and then the next couple come out this week. The book is in / series is about a band in the 70s, a rock and roll band in the 70s, and it kind of goes through their time. It's a look back in a way to their careers, how they hit number 1 on the charts, etc. So only naturally, the cast recorded an album under Daisy Jones and the Six, the name of the band. It is now the first fictional rock band to have hit number 1 on the Billboard charts in Apple Music, which is kind of crazy. So you can listen to the music that is in the series that is inspired by the book, and it is number 1, which is kind of wild. It's got a huge cast. It's Kylie Q as Daisy Jones, Sam Claflin as Billy Doon, Suki Waterhouse as Karen Seacrow, Camilla Morone as Camilla Dunn, Will Harrison. I mean, there's a lot of people in it. If you just go look it up, like you'll see a bunch of names that you recognize.
Nice.
But I've been pleasantly surprised by the show. I did watch the first 3 episodes. I would say it's hitting home for me as a show more than it did a book, because of the way it's being shot and the story's being told. So if you're interested and you like things about the 70s, check it out. It's fun.
Cool. Love it.
Moving on, number 2. So our friend Bob Iger, he is back as CEO of Disney. I know we've mentioned this a couple of times, and there have been a wave of delays in projects being pushed, projects that are now shelved, etc. And a lot of that is stemming from Bob Iger. So I am one of the people that I've always been a big Bob Iger fan. I've read his book, did his masterclass back in whenever that was, when that was whole thing. Some friends and I split it. And anyways, so I find it really interesting that the quote that it's in Variety, he said, "There's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand. I think we just have to look at what the characters and stories we're mining. And if you look into the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years, you'll see a lot of newness. We're going to turn back the Avengers franchise, but a whole different set of Avengers," with a whole other set of Avengers. So for those of you who did not hear, the Marvels was pushed from a July release to a November release. We were supposed to get 4 or 5 Disney Plus shows from Marvel. We are now only maybe getting 2. There were other projects within Star Wars that were pushed. For example, we had Patty Jenkins, who was doing Rogue Squadron. That has now been shelved. Kevin Feige was on an untitled Star Wars project. That has been shelved. So there's been a lot of shifting in the quantity of Marvel and Star Wars big brand projects from Disney.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was about to ask you the same thing. I love. Okay, this was a lifesaver. You were talking about that Mandalorian was a thing that helped a lot of us, especially during the pandemic. We had a new world to step into. There was almost a steady drip coming from Disney for Star Wars and Marvel, TV shows, episodes, that kind of thing. There was almost a steady drip through a chunk of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That every week there's a new episode of something. One show ends. We got a few weeks before
Another
the next one.
picks
There's
up.
something to look forward to, and it was a steady drip that was weirdly helpful during all the weird stress of the pandemic. So I really got to enjoy that. They can only keep that up for so long and keep everybody, because there is a point of oversaturation.
Yep.
And there's a point where I think I started getting a little oversaturated. So as much as I love both of those, that's not a horrible thing to back off, because what I'm going to want to do is at some point in time go looking around and go, where? Gimme. Because when it does finally pop up, it's not a matter of that I will have moved on. I will just be ready for it. But with the shows that are going away, you said Rogue Squadron is getting shelved. Is that shelved done shelved, or is that shelved on hold shelved?
So from what I read, from what I think it was Variety. Yeah, it was Variety. They are done.
Oh, no.
No longer in development, longer being considered as active projects, which is really sad, because I was at D23 when they announced Patty Jenkins's Rogue One Squadron project. And I was really looking forward to that. And then, everything Kevin Feige touches turns to gold. So of course I was, everybody was looking forward to that. The good news is Taika Waititi, he has a project with Star Wars in development, or with Lucasfilm, and that is still apparently on track. He is also going to be in it, as well as directing / producing. So not everything is going away, but I think it does speak to the fact that we're looking towards a culture of quality versus quantity. Because I feel like last few years, to your point, there's been a lot of quantity, and I think some of the quality has suffered. We've all heard, the reports of the VFX houses that have been subcontracted because everything's been overloaded. I mean, some of that, that's really that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I mean, so anyways, I digress.
Well,
that was
don't worry about that. What are your feelings on it? How are you feeling about everything being cut off? You asked me.
Well, I'm glad that we're looking forward to better quality. One of my biggest qualms with Ant-Man and the Wasp is it was all CGI. Yeah. And it was cool for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'm
not saying wow as much anymore when you show me a vista that is all CGI.
Exactly.
It's neat, but we've seen it.
Exactly. That's my feelings on it. And so the fact that it's, and so there are some people that I know who are like, oh my God, it looks terrible, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Yeah. Like, I'm excited for the new Little Mermaid. The CGI looks terrible. Like, it's just like one of those things where I was looking forward to it. And then like, I've seen the trailers, and like, I'm like, guys. Yeah.
Well, so that's the CGI in the trailer. Here's hoping that they kick it up a notch during the movie.
We hope. Doesn't always happen. Anyways, so that being said, with the quantity going down, hopefully quality will go up, and that's okay. Great. So moving on. So this is actually in the same vein, quasi. So we know that there is a new Daredevil show coming out.
Yes.
Born Again, and if they don't feature She-Hulk in it, I'm going to cry. But it has been announced that the original Karen Page and Foggy Nelson actors, which is Deborah Ann Woll and Eldon Henson, are not returning.
So from the Netflix series, those two characters are
not coming. We don't know if they're coming. Doesn't say. So this came from ING, who broke this via THR, so the Hollywood Reporter. And there's no word on if they're being recast. There's no word if the characters are going to be like not even in the series. We don't know. That I thought that was really interesting, given that they were, you know, really strong characters and did a great job with those roles. And the entire Daredevil's world, for the most part, seems to be coming back with the original cast. So very interesting that they're not. Maybe they're not available. I don't know, but thought that was very interesting.
That's very interesting. I am curious if they're bringing anybody else in, like Stick or Elektra from the series. I'd be curious to know if it's just those two characters.
Going to come back.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I doubt Jennifer Gardner's coming back, but
no. So there was a Elektra in the series. No,
yes.
Jennifer Gardner's not coming back. Yeah,
no. She's too expensive, rightfully so.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be curious to see what they do with it if they're going to do something. That's too bad. I like those two actors. It's fun.
Yeah, okay. I know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And we're back. Okay, so next, moving on, is we're going to talk about some authors' books being turned into TV shows and movies, because that has been a routine thing that we've been seeing in the world, tying back into our first topic of the day, which was Daisy Jones and the Six. So Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of the authors who's been blowing up, and she has a lot of projects in development. For example, Malibu Rising was one of her books that's in development. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Flynn. We've got, obviously, Daisy Jones and the Six. One True Love is coming out. That has got actually a really stacked cast. It comes out as a movie, PG-13. I don't see a release date quite yet. But casting on that, just for anybody, it's Philippa Sue, Sima Limu, Luke Bracey, and others. So it's got a pretty good cast that is coming out. And then Sarah J. Maas is another author who has a project in the works. So Sarah J. Maas, her flagship, what people know her from, is her series called A Court of Thorns and Roses. It starts as a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It does not stay that way. It goes into its own thing very quickly. But it's a great story, typically YA, but really more adult, lots of spice, lots of smut. Now, here's where this gets interesting.
Keep going. I'm listening.
Okay. So there's where this gets interesting. So it was picked up by Ron Moore. Ron Moore is the showrunner and creator behind Outlander. That was a book to TV show. And then For All Mankind, Apple TV Plus. Now, A Court of Thorns and Roses is going to be on Hulu based on how it's been picked up and billed right now. And if we know anything about Hulu, it's a Disney property. Granted, Hulu is Disney's outlet for more adult content, but not HBO adult content, not Outlander adult content. So there's been a lot of rumors floating around in the rumor mill that there is someone in the writer's room who is not compromising. They've been incredibly difficult to work with, etc. Rumors are saying that that is Sarah J. Maas herself. Boom! Did you read it?
No, I'm not reading it. I had the woman that I'm seeing. I've left a book at her place. She left a book at my place, and that's what's in my bookshelf. I
love it. You got to read it.
I didn't know what it was. Thank you.
Yeah. Taylor's reading it right now because of all this. I've been talking about it with, him and friends, and he's like, all right, I guess I have to read this. Like, I need to understand what this is.
Do I need to borrow this and read this?
Yes, you do need to read it. You absolutely need to read it.
Okay.
Yeah. Has she read the whole series?
I don't know. I'll have to ask more questions on it.
Yeah, ask questions, report back. I'm curious. I love being able to talk books to people, clearly. Okay, so Disney owns Hulu, and Hulu is not an HBO. It's not a Starz. It's not a Showtime. So the amount of smut and spicy things will not necessarily be on screen. So that has such a heavy through line through this series. And the fact that we know that Sarah is not compromising in the writer's room, there's been a lot of interesting controversy. I'm curious to see, if it even happens. We know 80% of TV and movies die in development. It is what it is. Sometimes it doesn't work. Or if Ron Moore ends up shopping it somewhere else to another network or studio. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what happens there, especially as we start to see more projects from, Book Talk, which has become this huge thing, go into development. So like from Blood and Ash, from Lauren Amarant, her series has now been picked up. I think I just butchered a pronunciation of her name. I'm really sorry. That has been now picked up by Amazon Prime. So we're seeing more of this. So I'm curious how much of this actually happens. But I don't know. And then the last one I have, this is kind of a bonus. Mark your calendars, y'all. Oscars are this Sunday, March 12th. It'll be really fun. There is a fun clip of Jimmy Kimmel floating around. He is hosting. So if you saw Top Gun Maverick, it's a clip that you think is Top Gun Maverick, but it's Jimmy Kimmel. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. It's pretty fun. So yeah, so this Sunday, mark your calendars for if you like the red carpet and Oscars and all the things.
Bueno. Okay, well, I got two things. One, I saw a bunch of trailers popping up this week, and one of the trailers on the geek side of things is going to be on Apple Plus. It's called Silo, and Silo has Rebecca Ferguson in it, and it is set in the future, dystopian future. It is this gigantic silo that apparently people have been living in for a very long time. They've got livestock, they've got crops. It honestly looks like the set from the basically NASA in the black hole movie, the Matthew McConaughey. What is the movie? Anyways,
oh my gosh.
Wasn't that Rebecca Ferguson too?
No, that was Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain. Oh my God, I'm so
sorry. Interstellar. That's what it was.
Okay, so it looks like the set of NASA, the underground building from Interstellar. It also looks similar. So the whole thing is apparently like human civilization is living in this silo, and they are from time to time sending people up to the surface, and it's going to be episodic, I believe. And one of the cliffhangers that they throw in there is that everything you think you know is a lie, which makes me believe that it's an experiment, which we've seen that before. And I love that whole trope of people living underground thinking that they are the last. And then somebody goes to the surface and you come to find out, no, things are good. We've just been watching you. It's the Truman Show, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm loving
Kimmy Schmidt meets Truman Show.
Yeah, I'm loving that entire concept. So I want to see that. And the other piece is I don't know how accurate it is. I asked you to remind me about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, yeah.
Netflix is putting together a live action Avatar: The Last Airbender
I've heard
series.
about this.
And I saw some footage that is being labeled as some behind the scenes fight practice choreography for Toph. Now, if you don't remember, Toph was the little bitty, just absolutely punchy, blind earthbender that just beats the crap out of guys 2 to 3 times her size and does it with an absolute smirk on her face. It's the swagger. Swagger. That was the word I was looking for.
That's the word we needed earlier.
Oh, my Lord. I love the word. So no, she does it with an entire swagger. And this little clip, I can send it to you, is fantastic. If that is what we're looking forward to with a Netflix series, live action Avatar: The Last Airbender, I love that. That looks amazing. That's what I got.
So my friend adopted a little cat and she named her Toph. So it fits the cat very well. It fits well.
That actually,
thing.
That is a good cat name. That actually does work. Okay.
Yeah. And then, speaking of trailers, we were watching Shrinking last night. We were catching up on it. And we saw a trailer for Taron Egerton. I can't pronunciation.
Taron Egerton.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. In Tetris. That is a new show coming out from Apple TV Plus. It's about where Tetris came from. All of that, which will be really interesting to see that.
That actually, I did see that one. That one actually does look interesting.
I have a tangent. I have a soapbox. Okay.
I like tangent and soapboxes. We are at almost an hour.
Quick.
But I'm sure we can go.
It'll be 30 seconds.
What do you got?
So I'm a little annoyed that Apple TV can keep things like Shrinking, Tetris, all of these like you don't even see them until like you're watching something and then it's a trailer before. You've never heard of this. It's not in the trades. Nobody spoiled it. But yet like all the big stuff people don't actually want spoiled gets spoiled. Like what the heck? That's it. That's all I have.
Apple has been coming out with some quality content. Like just about every one of the shows that I've seen has been really well produced and well written. So
yeah, they're really hitting it out of the park. And Ted Lasso comes back this weekend.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. That show, I'm actually in the rewatch of it right now because I got to get freshened up. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm tapped out. I have nothing else to talk about for another week.
Do you have anything you want to plug before we call it?
Yeah, I'm hi guys. My name is Bryan. I'm on Instagram. I've got Brydalorian on my thing today because like you do, we got to get you doing goofy names every week.
I know.
But so my name is Bryan. I'm on Instagram. I'm your friendly neighborhood photographer. I am at Chatlin Photo. Would love it if you would click like, subscribe, follow us, whatever you got to do. Drop some things in the comments. Disagree with us nicely. Agree with us. Tell us we know some things. That feels good too. Just join us in conversation. Love it. That's all I got.
Yeah. And I'm Courtney, Courtney Cheek. I really don't do much social media. I do Instagram. That's where you can usually find me. But yeah, we love to, hear from you guys, hear your thoughts, your opinions, but catch us next week. We'll talk about the new Mandalorian episode, probably the Oscars, among other things. And if you have any topics, let us know what you want to hear.
Love it.
All right. Thanks, guys. We're going to head out.
All right.
Things pop culture, and you may catch a special guest or two. Be sure to follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe wherever you get great podcasts. I'm Courtney Cheek, and on behalf of myself, Rick Shue, and Bryan Chatlin, we are the Friends from Work. We thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Freakbase, take us out. That wraps up another episode of the Friends from Work Let's Chat podcast. Tune in each week as we discuss all things pop culture, and you may catch